And good morning, everyone. It is 34 minutes after 9 o'clock on this Tuesday, almost said Monday, Tuesday, day after Labor Day. I hope everyone had a good holiday weekend. Nice weather overall, not overly hot, but still plenty of sunshine and heat. Hopefully, everyone had a chance to get out and enjoy the last unofficial setup to the summer season. And based on the pattern, yeah, there's not too much in the way of 90-degree weather to track looking ahead, as you're about to see. Today will likely feature one of those days, but other than that, there's not a strong signal for that down the road. I know better to say that we're done completely with that idea, but we're on track. We're on track, and that's a good thing. Hope you guys are doing well. As always, you guys can comment on our social media side of this, with whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or on X. We're on there. So your comments will be flying on through here. Hello, Kentucky Girl, over on YouTube. Good morning to you. Good morning to Johnny. How you doing, Johnny? Joy, good morning as well. All right, guys. So, Sean, yeah, we need some rainfall. Well, some of us are going to get some rain, and you're right. We do need some rainfall. And I do think we have at least 3 potential rounds in this current forecast I'm about to show you that is going to cover us for the next 36 hours. About 3 rounds in that 36-hour window. But that's not the only rain chance. There are additional ones down the road, but this one is probably the heaviest that we'll likely see, and it's a little easier, somewhat easier to time out. I'll explain. We'll begin first with a live look at Ollie International right now. Beautiful there this morning. A little bit of fog and haze in the distance, but looking gorgeous outside. Clouds have been increasing. You may have noticed you haven't had probably as much of that bright sun in your face as you normally had. And that's only because we do have such a high deck of clouds that are streaming in. Most of that's been streaming in while you've been asleep last night. The radar is starting to light up. What'd you say, Dale? Your voice and video is off. It tends to be off a little bit in sync by the time it goes through so many different sources and gets to you on social media. So I apologize. But I'm also naturally out of sync. So for a lot of people that know me, this seems normal. I assure you. But I apologize. I know it's a little distracting. So don't pay attention now. Just pay attention to the graphics there. All right. So here is the first little batch of showers moving in from the west. They're not overly intense at the moment, and we got some time before we really have to worry about them. But they are beginning to pop in across areas just to the west of us, Evansville area back into Illinois. That is where we do have a little feature. We always call these little MCVs, little spin. You can see it right through there. This little portion of it on the eastern side is the part that's going to try to throw in some more downpours, lightning, and thunder. Yes, in other words, a thunderstorm is possible that could develop as we head through as early as lunch today. I think we're going to get some downpours in the metro anyway. And the more east you are, 65, though, the atmosphere not quite as prime. Everything's moving a little more north than it is east as far as the best parameters to support rain today. So it's really going to be an I-65 west storyline today. That will begin to evolve, though, as we get to the next 2 pieces of this. But at least for this first piece of it today, it should be mainly a central wave country area and off to the west there. All right, which is good. And I have this really giant long blonde hair that's I'm going to say it's Jessica Dobson on the microphone that's right in my face. Sorry, Jessica. All right. Or I doubt it's Kevin's. I really doubt it's Kevin's. But anyway, you can see a little spin off to the west, some showers there. This is not the only piece. There will be another one later on tonight and tomorrow. The severe risk in this kind of scenario, you can get a severe thunderstorm warning. And the round today, it's a little iffy, more so the round Wednesday. That's a highly conditional round. That's more Wednesday night, the way it's looking. So you can get some warnings the next couple of days. That's why we're in storm talk. But as far as anything significant, it's very unlikely. The wind fields they're just right there at that point where a warning could get triggered. Most of these will be just some gully washers, get some lightning and thunder out of that. And that's really about it. There's nothing too serious with this. We need some rainfall. Now, the only thing I think we need to just be aware of is because of the slow motion of this trying to get more east, that there could be some areas that could get quite a bit of rainfall just west of Louisville that see repeated rounds. It's the only thing I'm watching as a side note on this one. But the severe risk today, mainly to the west. Tomorrow, it's right along I-65. But there is a catch to that one. As I said, it's conditional. Let me explain why. First off is one of the high-res models. Is the HER model for the rest of the day. You can see we've got these downpours popping in. You see it's a little more aggressive with some of the yellows and the reds that show up west of 65, and then anything that tries to get east of 65 just becomes a general, shower if it can hold together that long. That will play a role in whether or not we hit 90. Based on the satellite of us getting so much cloud cover already, it's probably going to be tough for Louisville to get to 90 today. We'll go with it and see that chance is there. It's the best real opportunity I can see, but I think right now cloud cover is probably going to limit that based on the satellite. We'll get close. Either way, no one's going to miss that, I'm sure. That particular round moves on through the area. It'll begin to fade out. You see a little more action the more west you are than east. That's the storyline once you get from today. I-65, as always the case, is the dividing line. We get into tonight, everything relaxes a bit. I don't know if it'll go completely quiet, but it will relax. But then tomorrow morning, near about this time when you're heading out to work and school, another round will move in. Now, these do have a little more of a kick to them, but the issue is time of day. They'll be moving in when the bases of the clouds will not be as low as they would be if they were moving in at, say, 4 in the afternoon. So therefore, they are not going to be as intense on the severe wind side, but they could certainly put down quite a bit of rainfall. And that's the reason why, again, need to watch for some of those higher totals that may try to show up tomorrow morning. I would say near rush hour. I know there's several different rush hours now, but in the mid rush hour period, which to me, I think it's like 9 a.m. I think rush hour is usually 6 a.m. There's 9 a.m. There's like a mini one now, like at 10 a.m. ish. Anyway, you get the idea. Generally, that's when the rain will be moving in west to east. Some that could be locally heavy. So it could be a messy travel setup at times tomorrow. This will begin to fade out around lunch tomorrow into the early afternoon. This is where the third and final piece of this particular system comes into play. Will we see enough sun in the afternoon to allow for the last one to fire up? If so, they are the ones that could be strong and have the best potential to produce a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. We face that scenario almost every time, don't we? Does the sun come out or not? And if it stays cloudy, then we're fine. If the sun comes out, that's not good. Well, even in this case, if the sun comes out, it's not a nightmare day. We're not into full-on tornado watches, nonstop coverage for hours. It's not kind of a setup for that. It would just mean it would lock in a little more the idea that a warning 2 can get issued. If we stay cloudy, they're just general waves of showers, if they can even form. And if we're cloudy all day from the morning, midday rain tomorrow, this last round may not even have a chance to even form at all. And that would really change up the game, right? So 3, again, rounds. Starting here in the next few hours through about sunset. We'll get some quiet time tomorrow morning's commute through lunch. We'll be active on the radar with some showers and some thunderstorms. Some of these heavy, not really on the severe side. And then a conditional threat, roughly sunset as we into Wednesday evening. 1, 2, and 3. That's how the system will play out for us. It will try to get to 90 degrees in that whole process. That is going to be tough with such a noisy timeline that is at play. That will then move out, and then we'll have a chance to relax, sort of. There's only one little hiccup that I'm watching here for the weekend. It's actually a classic autumn scenario for us. I've kind of painted the idea of the cooler temperatures overall, and then reds will be in blues, and then the reds would be obviously the warmer temperatures. You guys kind of get that, right? And then the rain's on top of that. We've got this front that's moving in. It'll clear the area all the way. The one that's the 1, 2, 3 punch and rain. The front itself really doesn't move in until Thursday morning. but it won't have much to work with because it already had 3 rounds ahead of it. So Thursday mornings when the front moves in, we don't really feel it until Friday into Saturday. The problem here, we have the leftovers of Idalia in the Northern Atlantic. We have what you're going to be hearing so much about, which will soon be Lee. Hurricane Lee you're going to hear about. I'll explain in a second. And you'll be hearing about Hurricane Margot coming up very, very soon. So the Atlantic is very busy, but all these pieces in the Atlantic point out that anything that tries to move in toward the Ohio Valley and the East Coast in general has got to fight. And the first fight, the sign of a fight that we will see will be with the wave this weekend. As the front moves through here, the front normally would want to clear all the way to the other side of the Appalachians, and we get a nice little cool blast. Thank you, Canada. We have a chance to cool down. Canada is going to help us out and give us some cool weather. That's, no, I wouldn't say guarantee, but it's almost a lock. But the thing is, the front will likely just stall and then just generally expand in width, which typically happens when they do get stalled in your coastline. So you're going to get some backlash showers that can develop. If we don't get showers from this developing low this weekend, we would at least get cloud cover. And the only reason why it's worth mentioning on that is that if we didn't have this front and this low trying to linger, we would have a perfectly blue weekend on sky and temperatures generally in the 70s. But because we have this feature, we will still get highs more than likely in the 70s, but we're also going to get the idea that we're going to have a mostly cloudy sky, maybe some spotty drizzle. Your best chance for showers to be closer to I-75 than 65 in this scenario. But I just don't want you guys to plan on a perfectly dry weekend and suddenly some light rain forms. Like, what happened to the dry weekend? This is the catalyst for the weekend forecast. Right now, we got chances very, very low until we get more data. We got time. But just a heads up, this will be the driver for Saturday and Sunday for sure. Once that leaves the map, then we'll be watching to see what happens here with Lee. And then Margot. And then there's another front that will be dropping in about this time next week, next Tuesday and Wednesday. This, too, has got a nice little cool wave with it. I'm not seeing anything in terms of severe weather, but I certainly think this has a chance for showers and maybe several 40-degree temperatures for lows coming in toward the end of next week. Now, is this a sign of what is about to happen for the rest of the autumn? We'll see, because the tropics, as long as they keep making these curves, which is pretty classic El Nino to do that, it creates an opposite yin-yang type of effect here. You're going to start getting these troughs, these fronts that dive in the Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley. They have nowhere to go. So when they move in, they settle in, you get cooler weather. That's how you get your autumn feel for the season everyone loves here, especially in October, is that kind of a pattern. I think the tropics should stay active all the way to the very end of the hurricane season, which does not end until November 30th. Will this be a big sign for winter? As you guys know, I started working on the winter forecast September 1st. It will not come out till Halloween night. So I'm not even close yet to being done, but these are all factors. These are all factors that I'm indeed looking at. All right, but more on that cool setup down the road. But at least this is a pattern that does not scream 90-degree weather. So that's why, again, we're getting to that time of the year. It's going to be tougher to get to 90 or higher because the sun angle is getting lower. And with this kind of a pattern locking in, that only just stamps it even more. So this next day or two may very well be it. I don't think anyone's going to be upset about that. So let's get to Lee, which, by the way, Lee hasn't technically formed. And here's Margot, technically has not formed. But for all intents and purposes, guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. They're going to form. These are two going to be massive systems in the Atlantic that are going to be heading northwest. Lee could get designated as early as, 11 o'clock this morning or 2 o'clock this afternoon is possible. A lot of questions on Lee because of the track that will eventually take as it heads toward the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico area. It's got a good chance to curve. There's only a couple of models that want to try to keep it a little closer to Puerto Rico and the Bahamas that I'm sure they would want. There is a new weather model that is out. It's getting its first test run. There's actually 2 versions of it. HOFS is probably the best way I know how to say it. There's number 4 to number 5. Not to get all technical, but they're specifically designed enhanced hurricane models. They're getting a test run this year. NOAA is trying to figure out, will they do well? Not so much on, track is important, but they want to get better at intensity forecasting. That's where forecasts are still struggling. Will this be a Cat 1 or a Cat 2, or Will it weaken at the last minute before landfall, as many hurricanes do? So there's a lot of questions on intensity. These new hurricane models are going to be examining these two features in a big way. And what is alarming is that these two experimental models want to take Lee and Margot and make them basically Cat 5s by this weekend. So that's very remarkable. If these models hold true, it's a huge test for them. And of course, we didn't have to figure out where they're going to go. Typically, in hurricanes that get strong at this latitude, do tend to curve instead of head toward the U.S. mainland. So that's good. Usually it's the weak ones you got to watch. If they can just barely hold on, then they can sneak into the islands and they really power up. But a very powerful Cat 5 has a much better opportunity to turn and hopefully avoid, not good for Bermuda, but it would avoid a lot of the U.S. mainland. It's the islands right there where that turn takes place, around Antigua all the way to St. Martin. That's the area you got to watch. But we'll keep an eye on that pattern. But I do think it's interesting for those of you that love tracking the tropics. That will no doubt be the two big. Certainly, Lee will be initially national headlines for a while. Now that we haven't had enough this year. There you go. Any questions I can ask on any of that? I think it's pretty straightforward forecast today. Everything's kind of in pieces. I don't feel there's a lot of wishy-washiness right now in the weather pattern. Everything's lined up in a chain. So it's kind of easy to time out everything once it happens. And we all know, especially for meteorologists that have been here, we know what these little pieces tend to do this time of the year in our area. And we're already seeing signs of that starting to happen. So hopefully that makes some sense there. So Nancy, you have any idea about the winter forecast yet? I do, but it will cost you $35.85. I'll let you know soon, Nancy. I promise. Halloween night. I don't go trick-or-treating anymore. I gave up trick-or-treating, guys. I gave up trick-or-treating just to do the winter forecast for y'all. That's a lot of candy I've cut out of my diet. You wouldn't know it, but it's true. Good morning, Jimmy. I hope you're doing well. Mike, Bourbon and Beyond weather. That is, I always get it. We got both of them, right? Bourbon and Beyond and, what's my mind escaping me? What's the other one? Come on, guys. I already set them for it. I already set the Verizon cell towers up at the fairgrounds, or the Highlands Festival grounds, I should say. The good news is this kind of a pattern is good for all the outdoor festivals. The only problem, as far as temperature, the only problem will be just light rains. It will be active. We're going to get several of these fronts. They're going to be dropping in from Canada that will kind of drop in and stall. Yes, they're going to help us in keeping us cool, but they're going to be a pain as far as trying to keep us completely dry. But that's also what we sometimes face in autumn weather. Louder than life. Thank you, Laura. Louder than life. Thank you. I have yet to go to either one of those, by the way. I want to, because especially there's a lot of 90s bands I'm a fan of. So maybe I'll venture out. I have very high social anxiety. You guys probably already knew that, but I get really nervous in crowds. So baby steps, but I may try to do it. All right, guys, I'm going to run. I'm going to get to looking at the radar trends for this shower activity trying to pop up west of 65. I'll have updated radar views on midday. We'll go through that and see how that's looking. We'll see if the tropics are officially designated or not. And hopefully we got a better idea on the weekend. So it's going to be an interesting week here for us. I appreciate all for watching as always. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. Try to enjoy the cloudier, rainy days if you like that kind of stuff. We haven't had one in a while. And I will see you guys coming up on the flip side.